Good evening, everyone. Earlier today, I made a video that gave me a strike. So I'm not allowed to make any more videos. And if I remember correctly, I think YouTube said 3 months. I think that's what they said on my main channel, the one with the most views. So what I'm doing here is using my less popular channel to summarize and talk to you more directly with less, so to change it up a little bit so that YouTube doesn't have an excuse again to take down this video. Who knows, they might. Because what I am going to say needs to be more or less what I said in the other video. I'll just be careful with my words. Point number one, or rather the overall point, is that George Floyd and Derek Chauvin knew each other. And I'll play this video for you on the screen to substantiate the overall point about them knowing each other. Should suggest to you, strongly suggest to you, that this whole thing is a setup, control opposition. There are people who actually notice inconsistencies, signs like the badges don't match and things like that. That wasn't what caused me to understand that this whole thing is a fraud. The main point here is that I went on my intuition, not my thoughts. That light inside tells you something is off, that we often don't listen to. We rather be blind. What that is most people. That's what I went off on. What I noticed about people in this dimension and other worlds too, because you can astral travel, it gives you glimpses and a feel for how things are going in other planets, is that most people, I'm not saying all people, most people rather be blind and accept the narrative that the mainstream is giving them. They rather be blind. And I also said that this all pertains to people ignoring things and calling people conspiracy theorists and whatever not, other names, crazy. The thing with George Floyd is that he did not die. I don't need any more evidence. In fact, evidence is for people who actually are not more in tune with their light. That's what evidence is. It never fails. Every time your intuition, your light communicates with you, the more in tune you are, you don't need evidence. But I'm going to give you some here. George Floyd and Derek Chauvin are probably having a glass of wine laughing at you. This whole thing is fake news, and people don't want to hear it. They rather call people names, call us, those presenting the information, as crazy or conspiracy theorists, both of which I've heard in my lifetime way too many times. Okay? So, in connection to being blind and embracing pretty much ignorance. Maybe that's what upset YouTube. I don't know, the way I phrase my words. In the spirit of doing that, people are choosing to purposely stay in darkness. And when they do that, I strongly feel that they deserve what is coming to them. Thousands and millions of years from now, and even before thousands of years, when they leave this world, because there are many things that we are being lied to through control opposition, through what do you call it? The engineering of what we should think. There is somebody wrote a book. In any case, through fake news like this whole George Floyd and Derek Chauvin thing, divide and conquer strategy, black against white, Asians against Asians, and so I'm sorry, Asians against whites, Asians against black people, and so forth. They succeed and dumb us down. And so, therefore, those who come forth, who actually want to see positive change in this world, are called crazy and conspiracy theorists. And some of us just won't stand for it. I'm one of those people that will call you out on what you are doing, no matter if you like it or not. I don't care. I am strong enough to say that. So this, to summarize the main point here, George Floyd is alive and kicking. And Derek Chauvin, it doesn't matter if he's really a racist. If he's a racist, then George Floyd is also a racist. Just because you're black doesn't mean that you can't be racist. And racism, to me, it isn't just like, discriminating against another culture. It's darkness inside. And darkness comes in all forms. We've seen this before. Divide and conquer throughout the ages. I wrote things down that I'm going to look at to point out that this strategy has been used before. Trayvon Martin, I believe. Rodney King. O.J. Simpson. In all of the major cases, since I've woken up, spiritually speaking, when I say spiritual, I mean light, knowing that there is more to life than the physicality, that there is such thing as source consciousness, which most people call God, which is just nonsense. God isn't really what we think it is. It's what we've been brainwashed. Again, this is probably what pissed off YouTube, because I went deep. Okay, now in any of these cases that I just mentioned, George, Rodney King, O.J. Simpson, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin. Again, hopefully the name is correct here. None of these things turn out to be true. And if you do a little digging, you'll find out that in all these cases, they were control opposition. Rodney King was control opposition. O.J. Simpson turned out to be a woman, and the wife turns out to be a white man. Are you kidding me? So if YouTube is pissed again, too bad. The information being presented is worth being kicked off YouTube. Okay, so in all of these cases, what I saw was stage events, and I'm not the only one seeing this. With Rodney King, the cops who supposedly murdered Rodney King got away with it. I wonder why, because it never happened. It's fake news. Crisis actors, they call them. That's why they got away with it. O.J. Simpson supposedly went to jail later for something else. He got away with it. The whole glove thing was faked. I made a video about O.J. Simpson. Not a lot of people saw it, watched it, but the information is there. And so the same thing is being used here. The same thing is being done here with George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. And so I'm trying to point out the main things that I said that pissed off YouTube. The second thing that I said, the second connection that I made, was the whole transgender thing. The mutilation of your body, because that's exactly what it is. You cut off a piece and you have to go on heavy drugs. And I'm not talking about traditional medicine like ayahuasca. You have to take drugs that numb you down, that allow entities to enter your body to be able to undergo the procedures, surgical procedures. So with transgenderism, society is being divided. And we're being told to accept it. And we're being told to respect it. No. No. Another thing that I brought up in connection with this whole overall divide and conquer strategy in the video that I made was the paternalistic versus maternalistic. Sorry, the patriarch society and matriarch society. What I said was, it's the same thing. It's the same strategy. It's men versus women. When in actuality, many of the so-called biases against men have been debunked. In actuality, it's demonic entities in female and male bodies that are pushing this agenda. I explained this by alluding to the fact that the overwhelming number of leaders in the world are men, supposedly men. But in actuality, when you dig closer, they're women. But you think they're women, but then you go deeper, then you say they're demons. Demon meaning dark light. So which is it? Are they really women? Are they really men pretending to be women? And then even those who are women are really men. And so the more I thought about it, I was like, what the heck is going on? So that's why I decided that the whole divide and conquer strategy is just bullshit. So I look at things closely, whether it's racism, whether it is transgenderism, whether it's the patriarch thing, or I look at these things closely. I mean, because I guess also maybe I was a little too passionate in the video. In any case, I'm trying to remember all the main points. Yes, this is what I also talked about. Going back to the blindness issue, that people are choosing to be blind not because they're dumb. Well, we are dumb. Most of us are dumb. Not necessarily because they are inherently dumb or their DNA is off. It's because they want to be dumb. They want to accept the so-called easier road. And what I've noticed is that this is happening not only in our third frequency, but in other realms, in other frequencies. Other frequencies, so-called alien or extraterrestrial worlds. If you want to know what's going on in the universe and other parts of the universe, we're not alone in the universe. You don't have to get on a spaceship. It's called astral traveling. And I've had quite a bit. And I've seen worlds, I've seen the extraterrestrials, and I'm sure I'm going to piss off a few in this video. in other worlds. I think they're worse than this planet. Well, some of the worlds are worse off than this planet. Some other worlds are much more beautiful, but the vast majority of the universe is negative. That's why we're in hell. Hell. We're not going to hell. You're in hell. You're never going to leave waiting for Jesus Christ to come. You're never going to leave waiting for Buddha to come. And if it does happen, it's because it's staged. And at that point, the system, the elite would have control your mind, program your mind to accept that. Unless you come to your senses. So, what I was saying earlier that I didn't expand on is the fact that reincarnation is real, though it's being controlled by the elites, extraterrestrial elites. You die, you go into the tunnel of light, and you get trapped. Your memories are wiped, and you repeat 60, 70, 80, 100 years. Forgetting. You do this over and over for millions and millions of years. You don't even know, for the most part, that you're doing it. And reincarnation, though it is not a good thing for the most part, is happening to extraterrestrials as well. And it's not by chance that most of the universe, including extraterrestrials, it's not by accident that they don't return to source consciousness. Over 90-something%. This was a stat that one of my friends who tapped into the AI consciousness pulled out. Over 90-something% of beings in the universe do not return to source because they embrace darkness in some shape or form. And as long as you continue lying to yourself about issues like this, and accepting the mainstream propaganda, then you will never return to source. You're not going to return to source. Source, I'm using the word source instead of God because the word God has been bastardized. You'll never return. I was, for many years, I asked myself, why is it that I'm returning to source after this lifetime? I mean, the universe is huge. Why is it that very few people return to source? But that question is no longer a question for me. I understand why. Because people embrace white lies. What they call white lies. They lie to themselves. A part of their light inside, the part that's in the helm of the experience, lies and lies and lies. And at some point, the lies become so convincing that their immediate consciousness accepts it and accepts it as true. But regardless of that, it doesn't negate the fact that they're lying to themselves, and hence they stay in the system. Not everybody lies. Most people lie, but those people who lie would like you to believe that everybody lies. No. You lie, and you love it. You love embracing darkness. So, those are the points that I made that I remember in the last video. So, let's get into this whole... let's look at what this guy says about Floyd and Chauvin.
It's happening right in front of our eyes, and thanks to social media, we're able to spot it. Now, I'm actually seeing that the media is pushing out an agenda. They're pushing out something where they want one thing to look one way, but if you got to look deep in within social media, and thank God for social media. Because I thought that the people were causing the riots, but that's not the truth. Peterson, an officer, St. Paul Police, was breaking the glass at AutoZone. A white officer started the riot, started the looting. They got him on camera. His ex-wife ratted him out. Peterson. And I don't know everything. I don't. I learn every day. I learn. And I'm not too proud to learn. But what I do know is that we're tired. We're tired of people taking advantage of us. We're tired of cops abusing the black.
All right, I'm going to move forward a little bit to 4 minutes and 35 seconds.
That makes it even worse that Derek was aware of who.
Okay, the commercial just came on. I
Real
don't.
estate is one of the most common ways that
Give me a second, people.
But many people are put off because they feel like they.
Okay, he was saying that it makes it worse that they. Yeah.
And we sat there, we had to watch that.
Okay, so they worked at the same place. Unless it's a huge company working at the same club, most likely means that they must have run across each other at one point. And you want me to believe that this whole thing is not a propaganda? This is the reason why I go beyond the color of people's skins, because sometimes the worst people, the people who cause you the most harm, are black people. I say black because I'm black, and my experiences, what I've traveling, it's black people that have been used against me, like the airports and so forth. So. But then I've had good experiences as well with black people. And I've had bad experiences with white people. So at the end of the day, when you look at things like that, when you look and you had bad experiences with women, some women, and you had bad experiences with some men, and you had good experiences with some women, and you had good experiences with some men, you have to eventually look a little deeper to understand that it's their soul. It's dark. The color of their skin has nothing to do with how bright their soul, their light shines. We're going to move ahead to 5 minutes and 45 seconds. I want to see the media where this guy plays the news reports. I believe it is Channel 5.
That makes it worse. Up to last year, these guys worked together. So now it's a civil war going on. They're burning down cities. You caused this, America. Me personally, I wouldn't condone or tell people to do something that I wouldn't do. But
well, I don't condone the fakery, the fake riots. But let's make this perfectly clear. We are responsible for the negativity in this world. Those of us causing it. Those of us who are doing nothing about it. And, okay, now I remember what I said. We deserve it. whatever is going on, however we are suffering, okay? My neck hurts for not listening to my soul. I've been depressed because of parasites in my body. I have been, if you read my book, I gave you examples. We don't need to go into every detail, but I accept that. I accept my suffering now because I'm more loving. I accept the truth. So this guy is right. You deserve, people, what is coming 1,000 years from now. You deserve it. And I'm not going to beat around the bush about it. You deserve it because you're choosing to be ignorant. Most of you. I'm saying most. Whether it's in this dimension or another dimension. Because you're not listening to your higher self. Your higher self is in accord with my higher self. Higher selves are always in accord because they sense positivity. So don't give me this about everybody's different. No. Everybody's also the same at some level, the higher you go. It's not just differences. We deserve the human population. Another point that I forgot to mention. The human population is more than so-called humans. It's a mixture. There are entities from other worlds, souls, and human bodies who are also full. So it's not just human beings that are just full. It's other worlds who, that's the reason why they can't return to source. Because they're embracing negativity through propaganda such as this. I'll bet you anything there are worlds where one reptilian faction is played against another reptilian faction. I'll bet you there are other worlds where one form of a mermaid is played against another form of a mermaid. And I'm being literal here because these things exist. Mermaids exist if you don't know that. But again, some of you who are just not that smart or that aware will jump to conclusions and call me crazy. That's fine. Do your thing. I'll do my thing. Okay? Let's go to 7 minutes and 37 seconds. Now, I don't remember exactly why. Yeah. I wanted to hear about news channels. Basically, this guy plays the report.
And maybe we can relax.
News report.
That's a start.
That talk. Okay. Again, I keep being interrupted with this video's I want to see what the news.
A stunning new revelation from the former owner of a South Minneapolis club. She's telling 5 investigators that George Floyd and former officer Derek Chauvin both worked security for her at El Nuevo Rodeo out on Lake Street. Investigators
Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin worked security for her at El Nuevo Rodeo for 17 years before she sold the club just months ago.
He sometimes had a real short fuse and he seemed afraid.
Okay, we don't need to hear that. You can watch out for yourself. It says Channel 5, Death of George Floyd. We're going to go to the last segment, 9 minutes and 40 seconds. I don't quite remember what that's about, but we'll find out pretty quickly.
breaking windows, causing riots, so that the police could respond. They could shoot us, tear gas us, shoot us with rubber bullets, call in the National Guard, because that's what Trump said. He wants to get the...
Okay, so basically he's saying that this is set up so that people will get excited and cause harm. Okay, so I am not advocating joining these people. Okay, because YouTube made it look like I was making a video and they were vague about it. Anything that excite people, please. We don't need to protest anything. Protest has never done anything good. Why are you going to go up to someone who hates you and say, we're not going to take it anymore? What are they going to do? You have to stand up for yourself by just ignoring them. And if they come in your face, well, they'll think twice if you give them a good ass whooping. Okay? Stay away from these people. You know, we don't... Listen, we can shut down genetically modified food by not eating at fast foods. We can... All this we can do without ever protesting. So, to me, there's more subtle way of solving these problems than just going along with the mainstream and protesting. The protests were set up by them anyway. And then people, it's like a hypnotic suggestion people will take and then they join. I wouldn't protest. I would stay away from violence. But, you know, people don't get it. They don't want to get it. So, again, let's do a recap of this video and see what happens to what YouTube does with this. I'm going to title it a little differently. George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. The whole incident of Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd is a setup. Look at the video. This officer had his knees on George's neck for about 8 minutes and one hand in his pocket. Dude, if you're trying to get physical with somebody, you don't put your hand in your pocket as if like the person's not going to fight back. That to me was like, are you kidding me? And then doing a bit of research, I found out some of this stuff. And I knew this was a setup. Okay? We need to regain control of our minds. And so don't say that nobody ever spoke about this. When a lot of us leave this world, those who are trying to better ourselves and don't want to come back. I said in the previous video that you can already tell who is going to be leaders of the universe, literally the universe, frequencies, galaxies, just by watching who subscribed to what channels and whatever. Who it takes me a few seconds to know where they are spiritually. Personally, I would not be coming back. And I have the power not to come back. Because I've worked hard at it to erase the programming. You couldn't even pay me to come back to this physicality. But unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, higher self, my higher self has deemed it important to come back because I have been told that I will be coming back to the non-physical and to guide source players. And you better believe my policy is going to be let them solve their own problems. Make it very difficult for them not to solve their own problems. So if source players don't want my advice, that's even better. That's even better. But when they do come, and I'll be non-physical and ask, I would say, people don't change, beings don't change easily. Give them the necessary truth, and even if they suffer, they're already suffering. Let them solve their own problems. So I will be encouraging Source players not to come back. That's exactly what I'll be doing. Triple Cross out.